Hey man, it's your boy Eric, aka Young God, coming to you in a pink dungeon, giving it to you real raw, rugged, and like the Breakfast Club say, we got a special guest in the building. But I'm let him introduce himself. Who we got?
And this is Lee Jr., aka the Soul Violinist. Man, you know what it is?
For the people who are not familiar with Lee England Jr., just tell them a little bit more about yourself.
I'm a producer slash multi instrumentalist slash philanthropist, and I'm most known for my skills on the violin and my exploits at that production that I've done for numerous people. Aside from that, it's the violin and people seeing me out everywhere.
Okay, well before we get into all that, where are you from?
From Chicago, well, north suburbs of Chicago, Waukegan.
Oh wow, you from how's it out there growing up in Chicago?
It was cool, you know what I'm saying? I grew up in the suburbs. That's where I was actually introduced to the violin for the first time. And because of that, I've been able to, move around a bit. So, I grew up in Waukegan. Then I went to Southern Illinois College. I got 3 degrees there, one in music business, one in music education, other in performance on violin. And then I moved back to Chicago for a few years, and then I moved to LA, and this is where I've been at ever since.
That's crazy because I'm from Florida. Ignorant Negro out here in Florida. I just think everybody in Chicago just getting shot or something. So to hear that, it's a positive side of Chicago living in the suburbs. Did you ever get inside that, almost get intertwined in the street life, or you just always been in the suburban good boy?
No, just the suburbs don't mean it's good.
Okay, okay.
I've been, let's just say, in the same situations that a lot of, other brothers have been in.
All right.
And it's just the choices that I made were different from that of my peers. And so it's like I saw it, and it was right there for me if that was the route I wanted to go. But it was never that glamorous to me. And I always believed in, just believed in myself, man. And I've always been on this journey to find out who I am, because it's like with that information, you can pretty much go anywhere. So, my exploits as far as trying to figure out who I am just took me on this adventure that, I'm still witnessing and still living to this day.
All right. Well, as a kid, what did you grow up listening to?
I remember my first hip hop CD was Goody Mob. My brother gave me a Goody Mob CD. And it's interesting because, I still listen to it to this day, because they were actually, that was like conscious hip hop, really, whether we categorize it as or not. But, the things and ideas that they was talking about then are things that definitely, played a part in my upbringing and my understanding of just life, period. So, I was listening to everything, hip hop, R&B. When I grew up, I was playing classical music, on the violin, but then I was in the church doing gospel stuff like that. My first teacher was a fiddler, so, I played like bluegrass and all that kind of stuff. As far as musical influences, I'm very well versed.
That's crazy you bring up gospel music because I've been interviewing a lot of producers lately, and I feel like gospel music is really slept on. I feel like that's one of the best genres of music of all time, and just to see people talk about it, it makes me happy. Does gospel music still influence how you play the violin or how you produce certain things today?
Yeah, like playing in church and just growing up, with that whole spiritual aspect. And looking at life from a different lens and understanding that our the greatest gift that we can give back is our servitude and being who we are. And so as far as like my music, it carries that soulful spirit with it. That's why people call me the soul violinist. It's like I didn't name myself that. It's like people hear it. It's like it's a different feel. And so it's like I would only hope to capture that same essence every time, I sit down to produce or I stand up to perform or sing or anything. I want people to understand and feel that the only thing that I'm trying to explain to them spiritually is that they're loved. And so it's like if I can do that through my music, then it becomes spiritual. So that never goes away. That whole like gospel feel never goes away. And then plus, being in a church, it's like you playing with some of the best musicians, in town or wherever you're at.
Yeah.
Because that's like you had to learn stuff on the fly. You had to be able to follow other people, and so I grew up listening to this guy by the name of Richard Gibbs. He would play the organ. And he would do what I know now is called theme and variation. But he was playing Amazing Grace, and he would play it in such a way. It was like improvisatory. I mean, he played. I mean, it was the craziest thing I had ever heard. I wanted to emulate him on the violin, and I remember trying to play like he played. And I feel like as a result of that, that's even how my style even was born. Was being in church and being impacted and being able to sit there with the musicians every Sunday. That was my thing. Like Steve Harvey, I remember him saying, as a kid, you had to find that one thing that made you want to go to church. And for me, it was the music. Being able to sit up there and listen to these world class artists.
Yeah.
Just do their thing every Sunday.
Have you ever played in church?
Oh yeah. I mean, I grew up playing in church. I still play in churches. All the time.
What do you play in church?
Violin.
Oh, you play? I've never seen that in church. I've never seen you bust out a violin in church. How does that?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's how I understand it now is that violin it has the ability to change the atmosphere. That's what many ministers tell me. Because it's strings instruments. That they're even in the Bible. It talks about how David was saying he would play the strings and it would soothe Saul and the things that was going on with him spiritually. And so David was always used to to play music to calm these spirits down. And so it's like I've witnessed that same effect, and not even just on watching it happen to other people, but experiencing it firsthand. With other musicians, and then even sometimes when I'm playing on my own accord, I've had moments where I've been moved to tears and I have no understanding of why.
Mm-hmm.
Just knowing that the music is reaching to a space that I might not have been cognizant of, I might not have been aware of, but it was happening nonetheless.
Well, to go a little deeper into music in church, because it's kind of fascinating to me. I remember one time I found out that the devil was an angel in heaven, and everybody has a gift in heaven. All the angels had gifts in heaven, and his gift was music. And I remember thinking, music is looked at in a positive light, but you actually being in the music industry, have you seen that? Have you seen the evils of music, or the evils of the music industry, or have you not experienced that?
Well, from my experience, it's like music to me is it's a potent instrument. Music is potent because it shoots straight to the soul.
Mm-hmm.
You can't stop music from entering your body. You can stop, like you plug your ears or something like that. But if you are there, you're going to be affected by it because it has vibration, it has frequency, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's like when I look at the music industry, it's like it's not even something that you have to experience in a way that is so overt to see what's going on. It's like, to me, music has the ability to uplift and to and to push down. And so just in the way that the music industry is right now, it just seems a little bit headed. It's the wrong way. Like the message has been clearly wrong for a while,
mm-hmm.
and it's just interesting because we as consumers, a lot of us more or less are kind of brainwashed into accepting certain things as the norm when we have much more power than that, but we don't utilize that power. So it's odd to me that everybody complains about music, but they don't. It's like they complain about it only so far as And so for me as an artist, I've always tried to be the type of artist that I respect, and in that I say something with my music. I use it as a tool to do something positive and bring light to dark places. So I mean, I've experienced this and that, but for the most part, you can just turn on the radio and experience it for yourself.
And I appreciate you for actually trying to have a message to be positive, because like we were talking about earlier, just like black people in general, a lot of black brothers and sisters out there, they need it need a lot of people listen to music to get away, and a lot of music they listen to are not ideal for their type of mindset they're already in. So for you to say that you trying to put a positive light in their mind, you know what I'm saying? So you basically uplifting them to trying to do better or be better. So I really appreciate you for having that mindset of making music. So I appreciate you. But how did you start getting noticed by like famous people? Because I read that you was with Diddy. Who was the first person to notice you?
So I ended up going on tour with an artist out of Detroit, and but that was like after I had did the Making This Band thing. So I got an audition for Making This Band because of my sheer like guerrilla style hustle. Like I really like just never waited for somebody or let people tell me no. I always believe no and not now. And so I would show up places, I perform at things that, I just knew that if I could get in front of people, that would be enough for them to like rock with me.
Yeah.
So, so it was like I would go out on a limb, showing up at places and any place that I could get in, saying? Like I had a friend who was helping me like get in the clubs. We get in the club and then just go straight to the DJ booth and act like we were supposed to be there. You know what I'm saying? Like I take all my stuff and just show up. And so I was doing this all over Chicago, and I ended up trying to get on a bigger show that was going on there. And so I was calling the radio station every morning, before I got to work, I was teaching. So I would get to work early and I would call before my day started. I was calling the station trying to find out who this guy was. Finally got through to him and talked to him for a second, played for him over the phone. I was like, I'm not letting you get off the phone. Let me play now. Played for him. And he was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to call you. And then like a month later, he didn't call. So I just showed up at the radio station looking for him, ended up finding him and talked to him a while about what I wanted to do. And I didn't end up getting the gig that I wanted, but he put me on another show and then hired me as his, to perform for him and his wife for their anniversary. It was their 1 year anniversary. So, I built a relationship with him, and so he actually put in a word with the producers at Making This Band because they weren't looking for violinists. They weren't looking for, anything outside of piano, guitar, bass guitar, drums, background singers.
Yeah.
So everything else, they're sending people home. And so I had actually got like an endorsement and was able to at least get an audition. They got me in the door, and I'm already knowing, like, you let me play, it's a wrap. So I ended up getting an audition, made it, came out to LA, did the whole Making This Band thing. That's with Diddy and all that. And so after that, I went on tour with a dude who would give me 5 minutes on stage by myself. And that 5 minutes, on tour was, man, it was enough for me to sway the hearts and minds of people in the audience. And so we ended up getting in front of Michael Jordan. And after I finished, got off stage, he basically like knighted me, like, I want this guy. And so he handpicks all of his, all of the hoopers and all the artists, anybody that represents him, he handpicks them all. And so he picked me that night, and I did an NBA gig for him. And I was known by the other players because there was a lot of them that was actually there. So I started doing events for all of them. And so I was doing events for like Chris Paul and Dwayne Wade, a lot of stuff for MJ, obviously, Melo, Ray Allen, everybody that was on the roster for the Jordan brand. I was getting called in to do shoe release parties and weddings. I mean, I was doing all of that stuff, and so that kind of built up a certain momentum. And so I was doing the NBA gigs as well. So once I did one gig with Michael Jordan, it was like an epiphany, like a light bulb went up. Like I could do this for other teams. And so I ended up going on an NBA tour and became one of like the premier musicians and performers for the halftime show. So I was doing halftime and I was doing the national anthem. And so that grew. Moving out to LA, that grew. Street performing, that was a huge thing in itself. That would bring people to me that I might not have never run across. So I ended up doing stuff with like the Game and who else I do stuff with out here? Just a bunch of people like just run around doing studio sessions and all that. So it's grown, at a steady rate. It's like I know right now that I've been living my dreams for a long time, So as far as like getting noticed by people, it keeps happening every day. Like it's an ongoing process.
That's
But
great.
I honestly owe a lot of it to MJ though. Like the fact that he like plugged me the way that he did. Like he was the reason why I even was able to perform at an event that somebody saw me at and pulled me into another event. And it was the first time I got in front of Quincy Jones. And I was working with them for a little while, but we couldn't get the business right. So I decided not to take the contract that they was trying to give me because I wasn't comfortable. So I passed on that, but things are still moving. That wasn't like the end all be all. So.
Now that's crazy that you got picked by Michael Jordan. I would have boohoo cried if Michael Jordan picked me, man. That's a monumental moment right there.
Yeah, for real, it was unbelievable. So unbelievable. I didn't believe it until they sent clothes, shoes, and then the third day they sent a contract. It was like they were trying to butter me up, but the contract was so sweet. And what I realized is that the Jordan brand is a family. That's how every relationship should be. Even though people work for Jordan, it's like a family atmosphere. So it's been a marathon with them, and it's like I've grown with them, and they've watched me grow. They've helped me out in certain situations, and they've laced me. That's just like unbelievable.
Yeah.
I've been having any jet you could talk about, I can get it or I have it.
That was my next question. I was about to say, so they send you shoes?
Man, look, not only they send me shoes, okay, so the first time they started sending me shoes, they sent me like shoes by the boatload. I'm talking about like 4 or 5 boxes of just everything. And I got to the point where it was so overwhelming that I was like, yo, like, are y'all wanting me to switch my style or something? Because y'all send me so much stuff, I can't even wear all this stuff, right? And so it was like, nah, we love your style. And so when MJ saw me, I had my baseball cap, my tuxedo tails, my jeans, and my J's. That was my thing already. And so they was like, nah, matter of fact, send us your measurements. And they sent me the only Jordan tuxedos in the world. So,
wow.
So I got Jordan tuxes, to go with all my fresh J's. So when I'm out performing, it's a conversation piece, obviously. They're like, yo, you got Jordan tux? Like, how you get that? And I'm like, there you go.
Hey, man, I'm going to come clean, man. You don't need all them shoes, man. You might have to send me something, man.
I don't, man. I really don't. It's like at this point, man, I give so much stuff away, man. I be paying people in shoes.
Yeah, hey, man, you might as well pay me in shoes. But, hey, so would you say you the flyest brother playing a violin right now, man?
I mean, I'm not one to boast and brag, but my resume speaks for itself.
I feel you, man. Hey, well, let me tell you how I discovered you. I was on Kanye to the site, and I'm a wrestling fan, so we're all in a wrestling group chat. We're watching wrestling together, and I see the guy Shinsuke Nakamura is coming out, and then you come out first, and I kid you not, this is around the same time that Frank Ocean is finna drop Endless. And he's working. You know where I'm finna go. He's working in the little shop or whatnot, and everybody's on edge. Like, we don't know what he's finna drop actually. So everybody's going crazy. You come out. I swear on everything. I said it, bro.
Oh man, I get that so often, especially being on TV. I get it so often. I be like, man, you talking about stupid look like Frank Ocean playing violin? I'm like, yo, I don't see it, but alright.
Bruh, everybody in the group chat, Frank Ocean playing for Shinsuke. Bruh, it took me a minute, bruh. I had to be convinced it wasn't Frank, bro. I'm like, okay, it ain't Frank for real. Wait, niggas had me fooled, man. I was thinking it was Frank.
Man, that's hilarious, man.
So
I've been hearing that, man. That's funny.
So you get that a lot. That's not your first time hearing that.
Yeah, no, that's not the first time hearing that.
Hey, so I had to ask you a couple questions about that. Do you listen to Frank? Are you a fan of Frank?
Oh yeah, man, definitely. Dude is a monster, man.
He is.
Great musician.
He is. Now I have to ask, how did you even link up with WWE with doing the intro?
Okay, so again, Jordan brand, right?
Wow.
So the Jordan brand is there's very generous people in Jordan brand. I mean, you imagine everybody in the world wants J's.
Fact.
So there's certain executives who take care of people just to take care of people, for relationships. And so everybody's always looking for opportunities to actually do something, to pay them back. And so they were in conversation. He was in conversation with one of the head guys over at the Jordan brand, the music director from the WWE. They were speaking, and he was telling them about the wrestler, and so the dude from Jordan brand was like, "Yo, we got a violinist, right?" And he was like, "Say less, man. Let me hear him." He heard me. He was like, "Oh, definitely, man." He's like, "We should get him in to play this theme song." And so we got on the phone, talked, and they're like, yeah, would you like to be a part of this? I'm like, definitely. So they brought me into New York, and they actually took me to the studio first to re-record the lines so that it was something that I would actually play.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, this is fun because now y'all get to watch, how I get down in the studio. And so we recreated a track, and when we went in that first time, it was the NXT event in Brooklyn. And that was a big deal, for me to be bringing him out. And then they tried to do it again in Toronto, but not with me, with like 10 other violinists, and it didn't go well.
It didn't.
And the fans wasn't having it.
It didn't.
And, yeah, so the fans wasn't having it, and they kept saying like, we need lead back, So they saw an opportunity to bring me in. And I went, you know what I'm saying? And so they brought me in, flew me down to Orlando, and, it was history in the making.
Hey, that was amazing. I really enjoyed how you, just the whole charisma of him coming out and then you playing it. I thought it was brilliant. So, salute to you for even pulling that off. I really did enjoy that.
Appreciate it.
Really did. What do you listen to, like in your spare time, like when you're not playing violin? Like, what do you listen to? Who and what do you like at the moment?
You know what, man? I've been kind of open to everything, man. I stay away from the radio. I really don't listen to the radio often,
Mm-hmm.
because that's like brainwashed. It's so repetitive.
Yeah, how was my earlier? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, I find a lot of stuff on YouTube, and then so I have a protege that I've been mentoring or whatever, and so he's a young cat, and so he's always playing stuff. So I've actually been listening to a lot of Kendrick. He loves Kendrick, and I see why. I love Kendrick too now. But you know what I'm saying? I was a Kendrick fan before I really knew I was a Kendrick fan. You know what I'm saying? Because he had that song. It was like Blessings, or I don't know why you keep blessing me, or something like that he did with BJ the Chicago.
Yeah, I don't know why you keep blessing me. Yeah.
So I heard that, and I was moved by that, but I wasn't moved by like the stuff that he was putting out. It was like the stuff that I was actually making to the radio and all that stuff. I was like, I wasn't really moved by it. And then this new album that just came out, man, what? Clearly, he snapped.
Have you heard "Tipping Butterfly," his last album?
No, you know what? I gotta do a retro. I gotta go back and check out everything, man.
Let me tell you why you should listen to the album, because since you are a violinist, he has a lot of jazz and like actual instruments in the album. So I feel like you actually knowing how to play instruments, you will respect it for him actually incorporating different genres of music inside of hip hop. So I feel like you would really appreciate that right there. I feel like you really appreciate that. But last question for me, and then we get to the fan questions, and we out of here. You actually being around these people, like just famous people you're naming in general. Do you have, because you're not in the limelight like they are, you're more in the background. Do you have any funny or interesting stories that you've had with these people?
Funny or interesting stories. No, I mean the funniest dude that I've met so far has been Quincy Jones, man. Like,
really
sitting down with him, yeah, man. Sitting down and having conversations with him. He's from Chicago. Like, he has not lost that edge, man. He be saying some of the wildest stuff. And so I actually sat down with him, like, just one on one, just me and him. And man, I'm telling you, the things that came out of this dude's mouth, man, it was just like, bro, are you kidding? Like, it was unbelievable. Like, first of all, just meeting him. And then him, saying, having nothing but praise and saying good words from me. I mean, he said, what was he said, I was like, I kept telling him, like, I appreciate the look, man. I appreciate, everything that you're doing.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, he's like, I thank God for your presence on earth, man. Stuff like that. When he said that, I'm just like, yo, wow.
Beautiful. That's beautiful right there.
Yeah, man, definitely. I mean, Michael Jordan told me that he wanted to be a violinist. You believe that?
That's crazy. That's crazy stuff. Fan questions and we out of here. Lil Wolt asks, he has two questions. He said, "What's your favorite hip hop song that predominantly features a violin?"
Oh, favorite hip hop song. Overnight Celebrity.
And it's
I got a
funny.
shout out.
He said, he said, he
Shout
said,
out, Reed.
he said, watch you see. He said, watch you say overnight celebrity. That's crazy. He said.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
his second question was, are you or were you ever a wrestling fan?
Yeah, definitely. I was a wrestling fan. I was a bigger wrestling fan when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? And then you like that moment when you find out that it's not real.
Yeah.
It was like disappointing. But when I went back and started when I was with them just at the NXT event, I remembered like it's the story, it's the theatrics. It's nothing more than like athletic opera.
Pretty
you know
much.
What I'm saying? Like, that's what it is.
Pretty
so
much.
I appreciate the story. I appreciate the athleticism because some of that stuff ain't easy that they be doing.
Yeah, it's not. Newhouse asked, how was it? How was Shinsuke Nakamura to be around? Like, how was he as a person when you met him?
So the first time I met him, like he's like it's like the language barrier, like he doesn't speak a lot of English.
Yeah.
And so it was just interesting, being around him for the first time and just talking to him. But then the second time, it's like he opened up enough to me, enough for me to be able to ask him. Like, hey, like when we're doing this, like, man, maybe we should bow. Like the bow was my idea, and he was like, yeah, let's see how it goes. And so we worked the bow in, and it's like after that, man, we like best friends. We was talking, like he just came by. It's just like it was cool, man. He was cool dude. It's cool to be around.
Yeah, I was going to ask you who idea was that do the bow thing. So I thought it was probably his idea, but that was your idea.
Yeah, that was my idea.
I like that. Last question.
I was just like, it's just so reverent, man. It should be that. Now that you know what I do, I know who you are. But like, if you acknowledge me, that's all it was. Like, man, he acknowledged me, and it was just like perfect.
I like it. Last question from Young NATO. He says, big fan of yours, but I have a question. Who's your favorite porn star?
I don't think I have a favorite porn star, man.
None off the top of the head?
None off the top of the head, man. That's a wild one. That's a good one. I remember that.
Well, anything you gotta say before we get out of here, man?
Man, I appreciate, what I'm saying? I appreciate the call. I appreciate the interview. And I'll tell you, like, I do a lot of interviews, and most of the time at this point, it's like I be blown by them because the people call me with questions that I'm like, man, did you even read my bio?
Yeah.
It's like, I hate that, and so it's like when somebody actually comes with some questions that are insightful and make me actually think and like make me give you some depth, saying to my character and my personality, like I appreciate that, man. So, like big ups to you, man. You're doing a great job.
Hey, I don't mean to divert attention away from you, but like I've had a couple interviews with people say that, and that's really been like, it really makes me happy because I've been doing this only for like a year. So for people to tell me that, I really appreciate people for you because that make me keep going. And me.
You ask intelligent questions, man.
Thank you, man. Well, hey, thank you for letting me interview you. And till next time, y'all know I say what I mean. I mean what I say. Haters gonna hate, players gonna play. Holla at your boy.